Welcome back to Wedlocked and Loaded.
Wedlocked and loaded.
You women.
Do not lump us all in one category.
So you girls, and lie and stretch the truth and try
girls,
to get us jammed up.
First of all, I'm a whole ass woman, right? Think about
no
that.
No disrespect.
Sounds like it to me. So why can't y'all? What is it with men that they just can't walk away?
Depends how good it is. You don't want to give that away. Greetings, everyone. New episode of Wedlocked and Loaded. I am Daniel Laurent.
And I am Leah Nicole.
And we are back again. Some technical issues, and we overcame, I guess. We'll see. But I think we're good for now. Doing a little check-in. How are you feeling?
I think like a lot of folks, over 2025, although it just began, I don't know. Somebody asked me that. Somebody asked me that earlier, and my response was all over the place and nowhere at all. But nowhere at all. I think it's a lot happening in such a short period of time that it's just all too much to process. And I'm not just talking about politically, I'm just talking about in everyday life, you know. So many people, are experiencing loss on top of everything else. I haven't been on a plane in quite some time. However, I'm a bit nervous, and I never thought that I would actually admit that out loud. There's a slight fear going up in the air and having somebody else have full control over your destiny. But this nervousness is, I don't have anything planned anytime soon anyway, but this nervousness is a bit different. It seems like there's just so much uncertainty in the world. I guess that's the best way to describe it.
At every aching point.
Yeah.
Same. I think
well,
that.
Can I ask you how you're doing before you start answering? How are you doing?
I don't know. I think being transparent. I love you and I'm in love with you, but you are being a pill. And
okay.
What I mean by that is
I'm hard to swallow.
Flag on the play.
Do you choke on pills? I have a tough time swallowing pills. So I'm asking you.
I do not have a hard time swallowing pills, Leah.
Oh, I'm glad you put the rest of that on there.
So.
But anyway, yes. How are you?
In totality, I'm fine. I think I'm trying to figure out the stuff that I want to do and I want to get accomplished. And with the amount of kind of sudden deaths, it puts things in perspective. And so I'm not hurrying up because I feel like, my time's going to expire. But again, it's just so much uncertainty in the stuff that I want to do. Mixed with things are not normal in the house because you are recovering. Mixed with, you are not at your normal capacity. So there's a certain frustration and probably impatience that you have and that you're experiencing on your own every single day. Mixed with you are typically independent, and you definitely have like a stubbornness about you and like a bullheadedness, I'll call it. But now you're in the seat of being more dependent. The stubbornness and the bullheadedness hasn't kind of subsided, so it's just as equal, which then causes it to be a little, because it's the assumption of if I'm sick and I'm not feeling well, right? Like I don't feel that I have I mean, I guess I could. I don't feel I have the carte blanche, or maybe I'm a little more mindful to not be snippy. And it's not that you're snippy, but I think that it's certainly not like warm. It's almost with I don't want to say his name, but it's similar to like the person who we are, helping.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And so like it helps that he is like, whatever, whatever you want, that's fine. Versus if you went over there to do something, he's like, leave me alone. Ah, just it would be like, ah. So I think there's been a couple of things that we've had some issues. I mean, not fights, I guess, because I'm also mindful of. I think we had one big blowout. I mean, it wasn't big, but it was like a screaming match. Um, and
I
and
have no clue as to what you're referring to.
yeah, I mean, and the other piece of what everything that's happening, and this is so wild because I can remember stuff, but like if you ask me, like, did we go somewhere last Thursday? I genuinely don't remember. Like I have to sit down and spend like a couple of minutes and probably even pull out my calendar because I just don't remember.
Well, I think part of that is um, just because you have all your stuff and now it's coupled with, my stuff, right? Um, and, you know, you have to not only do what you're remembering stuff that I am not necessarily remembering. So,
Well, that's a part of it, but I think it's just self preservation and bandwidth. And
well, that's my
so,
point, right? So like you just have a lot more on your plate than you typically would. And, some of the things that you would naturally have on your plate, I would be able to alleviate, right? Like take some of that stuff off your hands. But at the time, I'm not able to do that, and it's compiled with now my stuff.
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's overwhelming. It might be
It might
50,
not feel like
it
it's
might be
really
it might be
overwhelming.
50-50. What I
It's just the bottom line is it's extra.
well, it's extra, but I just feel that with everything that's happening and me choosing to, engage or indulge or be informed or whatever, and then I actually withdraw from it. Like my way of dealing is not, like I literally am like checking out.
Oh,
So,
mm-hmm,
people were like, "How was your weekend?" Like I don't like we had the long weekend. Like I genuinely don't even remember. Like
mm-hmm.
I think Sunday it snowed, but I don't I genuinely do not remember Friday and Saturday. Like genuinely, which is just kind of, but I guess it's kind of a there's so much pain happening, and not really directly to me, I guess, but there's so
It's
much
just
pain. Like I don't
around.
even. I think it's best to just have that kind of like every day is like Groundhog Day. I mean, not to sound so somber and like start the
No, I
show
mean,
this way.
I definitely used to feel. I've felt like that at one point. Um, I can't say that I do now. I mean, just in a sense of, for me right now, each day is literally a different day. You know, I and I will apologize. If you feel like I have been a bit snippy and not my mild mannered tempered self. Um, that's just part of what the hell is going on.
Yeah. I mean, this is an example in a relationship where, empathy and patience is is tested,
Hmm.
and not everyone. I mean, it certainly is not a great thing if like you're just getting to know somebody and you're like 6 months in. because it'll be like, fuck you, I'm out, you know?
I
Because
ain't
it's
never
like,
had that happen before.
Flag on the play.
But go
see,
ahead.
the part that's tough is we're trying to have
This is a whole. First of all, you never answered the question
about how
really
am I?
about how you are. You started off by saying
No,
a
I
whole
think I
bunch of
did, and
stuff
I didn't.
that
I
had
explained it.
nothing to do with you personally,
No,
right?
it's how it's been weighing on me.
Mm.
So it's all the things that's happening in the world plus what's happening, in this house, and just like trying to, deal and not, it's almost like if someone has a flu, and they're not necessarily their normal selves, you can't get upset and be inhumane. But also it's like, but we deal with like sickness and impairments different. And it's just always kind of been that way. Like even with you with like um, drugs and stuff like that, and I'm probably getting a little more natural now, but like,
Medication, please state that.
yeah, medicate. So like, sick, like I'll put a sweatsuit on, some Vicks, put on, have some NyQuil and sweat it out. And 24 hours, 48 hours, I'm good. Like you thug it out like you're back in the 40s.
Mhm.
And I don't have time for that. Like I want to get through that shit so I can get to it. You and I
Well,
think
one,
I
I
will
don't
say
feel like
being
I get sick in that way very often. And not to say that you do as well, right? But
no, that's just
um,
it's just an example in the sense of how you deal. But I will say like it was frustrating, but I just bit my tongue. Like the other day, I won't go like I won't detail it, but like when I was trying to have an alternative thing for you to do, he was like, no, I'd rather, and I'm like, well, do you want to further this and well, I don't want to speak in code, so never mind. Oh yeah, actually, you know what? Before we dig in, it was just Valentine's Day, so we can't skip over Lover's Day. So, how was your Valentine's Day, Chicky Blooms?
that shit was whack.
Nice,
No,
Leah.
just kidding.
Very, very, very nice.
It was cool. It was cool. We did something different. I think it's when you're together for so long, it's
Jeez.
it's hard to it's hard to find things that you haven't done, and so we supported well, we supported a black owned business during this fine Black History Month.
Shout out to
Um,
Boston CandleLux.
that's right, that's right.
Yeah.
And we made a massage candle. They were so sweet and kind.
Tammy and Lance, shout out to them.
Absolutely, they were so sweet and kind.
And it
And
was low key for you because
it was so
you
perfect.
couldn't do like
It was so perfect. It was so perfect. They kept, coming to me, making sure like the lighting was okay for me. Um, but overall, it was a phenomenal experience. So I implore you. You don't have to be lovers, to do it. But I implore you to go out and support this business. They have ladies' nights, they have couples, they have date night stuff. I mean, the list goes on. The list goes on. You can get your tickets in advance. I think they go from Thursday to Sunday. Um, and it's a great experience, right? Like I've done candle making before, but I've never made and that was a decent experience, but I did it with my girls, but this one was just very different. It was a very different experience. And
the company was dope
and
too.
it
It was
was,
very
yeah,
diverse.
very diverse. But there was something special about the candles that we made because they weren't just candles that you burn for smell good. It's a massage candle, so you got your butters, your oils, you smell good. And I love a good twofer. I really do. I love a multi-purpose thing, man. I do. I do. I do. I
All right.
do.
So, all right.
So with that being said, it was good. I actually, this is the part that sucks. I completely forgot to give you your gift. So I have that for you. Uh-huh.
I can actually see it or something I can see
You can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it, you can smell it, you can do
it.
all the things. It's not what you want. What you talking
No,
about?
no, no.
What you talking about? You don't even know what it
I
is.
know. Don't worry
I'm not. I mean, I hope you will like it, but if you don't, it's okay.
about it. All right.
Somebody else will enjoy it.
Flag on the play.
Hmm.
Anyway, so speaking of things happening, and untimely deaths, Irv Gotti, Irv Gotti recently died, passed on.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like that word is so harsh. Transitioned.
I don't like
Um,
that either. I don't like that word. I mean, transition sounds softer, but then like it then makes me think of like because it's usually self transition, right?
no, I
Like
don't. I don't. I
I
don't
I
take it that
equate it
way.
with that when I hear like transition.
Hmm.
And I think I look at it differently if a person's like 90, they transition, they're with their ancestors.
The thing is that it was a process for him as well, right? Like
He was in a coma. Was he in a coma? He
I,
was in
he
ICU.
was, yeah.
He was in ICU. Yeah. I I don't know if he was in. I don't want to misspeak, but I will say, even to this moment, it has impacted me more than I thought it would, and I'm really, I don't know. It's just it represents
Hmm.
like he was a big part of,
Hip hop.
yeah, and like he
Hmm.
was one of the guys,
Yeah.
and you already have, the shit that's happening or that's happening with Puff, like that's already like we talked about that on the
It just
show.
feels like a big hit, right?
It's a
It's a
hit
big
of
hit. It's a big loss. It's a
like the
big loss.
heroes,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it's like God damn,
yeah.
and he's
I,
like
I think the
Quincy
other
Jones,
thing.
like beautiful, like
Hmm.
legend, lived a long life,
Right.
lived on his own terms. Like that's what I want to see.
I think that's the other thing, right? There's so many people that are, that either they're leaving here at you know a relatively young age. You know what I mean? Um, and I think that's the shocker. You know, I think that's what's making it tough because, and not that I don't feel like I never thought that I was immortal, um, but I think that it's tough to see someone who is, relatively close to your age, someone that you may not know personally, but technically you grew up with. It's tough to see that. It doesn't feel much different from um someone that you've known uh closely,
Yeah.
you know? It's tough. It's
So,
tough.
rest in peace to Irv. Um, with that being said, and hating that it's, they were tethered in life and they're tethered in death, um, in a certain regard. But 50, when it was announced that Irv had a stroke and wasn't doing well, he posted his picture and was like, "Oh man, that sucks. I wanted him to see my new shows, LOL." Right? And I'm
Mm,
like, Jesus Christ. Now, for me, if he would have just did that and let that live on his page, like fine. But then after he died, he posted a video of him smoking hookah or whatever it was, like, "Oh, smoking on that Irv pack tonight." And then you scroll over and the next picture was a picture of Irv.
mhm.
And I'm like, yikes, man. And one could easily be like, that's too far, that's too soon, or that's distasteful.
Mhm.
But the flip side of that is if people know the story with 50. Like people tried to literally kill him. And then when he survived, they also tried to blackball him.
Yeah.
So he just lives on different terms.
Yeah.
And, and this goes into a deeper conversation I won't necessarily get into for the sake of like time for the show, but like 50's relationships. I
Mm-hmm.
think with the exception of like his grandparents, I don't think he's ever really been close with anyone. And the people he has been close with has all ended in like betrayal and like silly shit.
Mm-hmm.
So the baby's mother, uh, his son, courtesy of like the baby's mother and all that and the stuff that happens
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. Um, the game.
The child's mother. Yeah.
What did I say?
The baby's mother.
Oh, yeah. So the game. Um, uh, what's the other um recently the Big Meech thing?
Ricky Rose.
No, well, surrounding that, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying people he directly was like helping,
Mm-hmm.
and they like turned their back on him. And
Mm.
there's another person that I'm thinking of, and I can't remember offhand. Damn, it was.
Was it a complete back? Was it a back turn, or was it, hey, listen,
I
I'm
think
not
it's
gonna do what you want me to do the way you want me to do it, and so now you're upset and you're gonna just penalize me for that?
I think it's a.
Like, yeah, we act, but we not, you're not our puppet master.
I mean, well, if that's the position that a person takes, I think you have to know your audience and know who you're dealing with, and so and you weigh what's more important.
Right.
So you going and taking, so you look at, oh, I know what it was. It was well, that's still tied to the same thing. So BMF, the whole thing, right? And it's absolutely a capitalistic move that 50 did with doing that, right? It wasn't a charity case, but the investment in putting into Lil Meech and all that stuff, and the promotions around them and all that stuff, and all the money that garnered and attention it garnered to set that family up in a legitimate way. And then Terry, the character from the show with Big T in real life, goes and takes a picture with Supreme's son, Supreme, who's allegedly had put out the hit to kill him.
Yeah.
Yikes! Like, was that needed to do that? Right? And
Right.
then Meech comes out, and then it's like,
I mean, there's definitely some things that are slap in the face, right?
yeah,
Um, but
I don't have those
it's
type of
also
relationships.
perspective. And listen, I would hope not.
I don't think it's perspective. I think it is what it is. But I think
Right.
that it
So,
goes to the. Oh, you know what? I take that back. So his grandparents, and I think Eminem. I think Eminem, there's a genuine respect and relationship and love that he has for him
hmm
more than anyone else. I think
hmm
that um, I think those two relationships are probably the only relationships he really has. Even the thing with the child's mother that was running around with Diddy, it was just like so disposable. Like, you're a sex worker now, blah blah blah. It's like he just doesn't care.
right.
So I bring all that up not to do a deep dive on 50, but it's related to Irv with the pettiness of if you feel a way and you and a person are a certain way in life, does that carry over in death?
Um, I think that's a really good question. And hey, I don't feel like I hold grudges, but if you cross me, you know, if you run out of your stripes, right? Then it's up forever. Now, I don't mean that, I don't know. I think it's a different type of thing. I think now for certain, like I don't have space or time for anyone to waste. Um, if you are not, you know, showing me what give, if you're not showing or giving me the things that I need and I deserve, if you are not treating me the way that I am treating you, then I have no space for you. Um, I'm not gonna be walking around holding any venomous anger, right? Because that, again, that's taking up space. It's taking up my space. However, don't think that just because I'm not constantly, toting that bag of anger around, that we're all good, because we won't be. We're not.
I mean, it also leads into, and we had spoken about it briefly. Um, so part of 50's makeup for sure is him having a near death experience. And I just feel
Mm-hmm.
like he walks through life differently than most of us. And people who haven't had that experience can't understand that and can't relate to it. And may think it's heartless or any of the other adjectives that you can throw out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you chimed in and said something. So what say
Um,
you?
I mean, I think having a near death experience is, it definitely it definitely hits a wake up button, and it's like, yo, don't take this time for granted, you know? I know for me it was like, okay, well, I'm here, you know, and at this point I don't care about other people's feelings about the things that I do or want to do, or even the things that I say. Um, like, I'm no longer going to sugarcoat things. I'm no longer going to try to, always, appease people. Respectfully though, right? I feel like what 50 is doing is definitely more disrespectful. But that's not new. That's how he's always been. You remember when he first came out, I was like, who is this idiot? F him.
Lauren Hill
Well, yeah, because he was dissing Lauren, and I didn't appreciate that. Like, get the fuck out of here.
used to listen to Lauren Hill and tap my feet. Bitch without a CD. Have no.
That had. Ooh, you talking about grinding somebody's gears? That shit. But
I do remember that moment. We was in the car.
yeah, man. Yep. Damn, not the Champagne Ultima.
Yeah, good
No, that was a
times.
Maximus.
No, Maxima, not Maximus.
Oh shit. Yep, Maxima. I'm
Look at
thinking
you
about.
reminiscing on old work flings.
It was all old. It was all old work.
Yeah,
Flag on the play.
Um, but yeah, so I know for me it was just like, okay, and it was more of, I'm going to have a good time no matter what
in life.
in life. That
Mm.
was that was my take on it, because I feel like I spent a lot of time not necessarily living
Before the accident.
before the accident.
Mm.
And then after, it was like, oh no, yeah,
It's interesting how that impacts people. Some people can be on the extreme end and they want to ride motorcycles and skydive and
oh yeah, no, I
bungee
didn't.
jump and
Mm-mm.
all the stuff. And they want to, just everything, right? Or you can live more conservative and modest and careful because or maybe, you want to check off your bucket list, whatever those bucket
Yeah.
list items are. Do you have a bucket list?
Do I have a bucket list?
Like a physical
It's
one you
more
wrote
of,
down?
no, not a physical one, but it's more. It's mine is all related to travel. I've done a lot. If I look back, sometimes they have the little survey things that people be posting on Facebook, and it's like, oh, put a dollar sign here if you did this, or
Like if you
put
slept with
a
mad people?
put a um. Never been on any of the lists I've ever looked at. Put a dollar sign, put a check mark, or do whatever, put an X, whatever, right? And a lot of people have like, oh, I made, oh, I made $6 because out of the 40 things on that list, they've only done the 6 things. Whereas the only thing that I have not, I mean, it's so crazy. Is a lot of things that I've been able to check off, you know,
Mm.
on those lists. And so I don't feel like in that sense that I need to have a bucket list. Um, but not in that sense where it includes like, yeah, I want to skydive, then I want to freaking zip line. Like um I've never been that person. Like every time I've gotten on a roller coaster, when I tell you I have prayed to the high heavens, I have prayed to the high heavens,
But you still get on
but
it.
I would still get on it.
Yeah.
But it's because I came to an amusement park, and it's dumb to like walk around, but it's also like, I don't know. I was thinking just in the sense of the last time that I didn't ride as many rides when I went to the last amusement park that was a couple of years back. Went to, but then I was like, damn, that's crazy. I'm watching and I'm letting my kids get on this crap, dog. Like, like that's wild. I think the most thing that like had me crazy was I remember we was in Florida,
Yeah.
and we was just we had did the parks already, and I was like, oh snap, we could do helicopters. And then I they was like they did the helicopter, but all three of them was on the helicopter. And our oldest daughter, her friend had came with us, vacationed with us, and like she didn't have any interest to go. And as I'm sitting there with her, I'm like, yo, this is wild. I
Mom of the
wasn't,
year.
huh?
Mom of the year.
When I tell you, I
Yeah.
was just like, dear God, please don't, please don't let nothing happen to them. And I don't go into things with, I don't feel like I go into things with a negative mindset. I just know that, regardless, is always going to be a 50-50 chance. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, but I'm just like, I literally just had their life flashed before my eyes, not because there was any indication that anything was wrong. I just literally just, as I sat there and I seen like, the helicopter, got out of my eyesight, it was just like, oh shoot, what did I just do? Like, why did I let them go by themselves?
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
that's
like all these thoughts just immediately flooded my brain. Meanwhile, they're having the time of their life, you
yeah.
know?
They don't care.
They are having a time. But I think that's the other thing that happened with the accident. So as much as I feel like I am living, the other part of me is just like, but what if, you know? And that probably came out mad crazy. But
So
yeah, it's just one of those, I don't know.
so you can understand. Have you ever talked to other people that had near life death experiences?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know actually. I can't say that I can remember having no, a conversation with said persons.
And I'm also wondering if there's different levels to. So like, say if somebody is like out in the street and they're getting robbed, and a
Mhm.
person pulls a gun out on them and they put it in their face and they squeeze the trigger,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And maybe the gun was completely empty anyway.
Mhm.
But for them, like their life flashed before their eyes, and they feel like, yo, I almost died. But
Yeah.
there was never a bullet. There was never bullets in there.
I
But
mean,
like they
or there
feel like,
was and it
and it
got
and it
jammed,
jammed. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I can recall like, it's crazy. Like I remember being 8 years old and um upstairs playing at my friend's house, and it's just you just hear, the friend's mother was like, "Get out, everybody, get out!" Like we didn't know. We knew it was close. We just didn't know, where it was coming from. And I remember going out the back door to go back home because I knew that I had left the back door open for me, right? And I remember like being in the back hallway and the door was locked and I can hear voices, like, and not like in my head, right? Like they were actual voices.
I don't understand.
So it was, um, so from what I can remember, it was, I can hear the gunmen because it was multiple of them. Like, they were running, you know what I mean? Like, but I didn't know who was who at the time. And then one of the people that had been shot, had, I guess, was in the back hallway, but like it like went to the basement. And so I don't know, him hearing me down there. I don't know, like I don't know, but I just remember hearing multiple voices and a lot of movement. Um, but I was locked out, right? And like literally anything could have, like, they could have came back through the back way. You know what I mean? Looking for whomever that got out the house in the first place, right? And they could have lit my little self up. I mean, thank God it didn't happen. But shit, I would say that was probably what felt like for me, um, my first time ever feeling like, I could die
Eight.
at 8. And then to walk in the house, to see, I remember my aunt's boyfriend at the time, my grandmother had, he had went to the store for my grandmother, and he just came in at the wrong time. So some of the people went out the front door, some of the people went out the back door, and he was coming in not even knowing what just went down. You know what I'm saying? Um, and they shot him up. And I remember him being like bloodied up in
He
the
came in the house?
they pulled him in the house. So by the time I got in the back door,
Jesus
like
Christ.
I walked in,
So it's
somebody,
like Boys in the Hood?
it was kind of crazy.
So like Ricky being dragged in the house?
It was kind of crazy. Yeah. It was definitely kind of crazy.
So much trauma gets passed around, like fucking
Definitely.
like pieces of candy. And that's
Definitely.
that's part of like it's such a cycle and that
And I
uh,
would say, like, I would never have thought that I would have, like, you know, I would never have thought that I would have seen anything like that. You know what I mean? Especially not at 8. But even at that time, and I think when you're young, like you have this sense of fearlessness,
mm,
either that or just oblivious to everything that is going on in the world.
mm.
Um, but yeah, I, like I think for a long time, like I sat and I thought about like, oh my god, like this really just people died
That night?
that night. People died that night.
Where was this? Academies?
No, no, it wasn't. It was in Dorchester. It was in Dorchester. Um, yep, it was in Dorchester.
And you went to school the next day?
I don't even know if that was the weekend. Like I don't remember all of that. I mean, I could search it up because I remember the news reporters being out there, like, and my grandmother telling them to get on out of here. Like, we don't got nothing to say. Like, we legit were, like, my aunt's boyfriend was definitely just like they came in for specific people. You know what I'm saying? They went into a specific apartment and they did all the things that they did in that apartment. And but my uncle, my aunt's boyfriend, literally just, when they say wrong place at the wrong time, it literally was just that. Had he walked in 2 minutes later, no problem, you know. I remember he went to go get something, some milk. Milk was one of the things on the list because I remember it being splattered on the front porch. Yeah, I remember that.
So it was like Boys in the Hood.
It was crazy.
Jeez, yeah. You
It was
just
crazy.
definitely took it. I mean,
I know. I know.
all right. So this is a bad segue, but I mean,
I'm sorry.
please. So so
Have you, well, can I just ask you? And I don't feel like I carry all the trauma that I've seen or been well, I guess exposed to or even felt, right? I don't feel like I walk with that. I don't feel like I exude that, I should say. Um oh, forget it, I lost it.
were you gonna ask me
I think so, yes.
if I carry that,
Um
or if I feel like you do?
well, I know I don't care if you say you, I'm telling you I know I don't, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like
But but no, I mean, I don't think that I do, and I don't believe that you feel like I do.
no. I mean, I think there's certain trauma responses that I think we all carry to some
Mhm.
degree.
Mhm.
Um, do I feel like I carry?
Mm.
Um, no, but I think that everything that has happened um has shaped me into who I am and how I respond to certain things.
Mhm.
And I think, one could say, well, that's everyone. Well, not necessarily. I think some people will continuously do the same thing,
Right.
or they'll allow the same things. And I think for me, I'm a person where there's different variations of things. And even like, at the height of when me and you were going through things of like me doing one thing that you felt like was disrespectful. Um, and I may not do that exact same thing, but I'll do something else that you also feel is disrespectful.
Yeah, because
But
it
I,
would be along the same lines,
but not
right?
to me, like because I feel like it's
You'll
literally
just change. It
different.
would be the same exact move with a different character.
No, I think like, and it all like basically boiled down to like protection as we, like just the conversations. But I would feel like, well, I'm not doing that, but this is a problem also, and I don't understand why this is a problem because I'm not doing that. And so, for me, there's just different variations. So people, and they disappoint me. So this very thing I won't allow again. But then someone disappoints me in another way, and it really like impacts me. So
Mhm.
then it makes me harder a little bit.
Hey.
Um, so yeah, I don't feel like I carry it, but similar to not remembering stuff in the past, like weekend, I embrace as like a superpower to an extent instead of being frustrated. Um, I don't remember a lot of stuff. Like once I deal with it, like I really don't remember it. And I think that
That just means it didn't impact you the way it should have. Because
no,
ain't no way.
no,
So here's the thing, right? Like I feel.
it
Well,
definitely
I think
did.
here's the other thing. Here's the other thing with that. I feel like things will happen or things are done and things will happen and you don't remember it because you create this whole narrative around said thing and the version that you created is better and so you're going to rock with that version.
That's not true. I think you are
I'm not
isolating.
saying everything, I'm just
You're
saying some
you're
things.
isolating like
I'm
specific.
saying some things.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even say some. I wouldn't even say some. I think closure is important for me, as you know, right? And what I also know, and we
Is
we
that
both
for you specifically or
closure is important to me, but I
mhm
also realize that like it's not a person's job to give me closure.
mhm
So sometimes a closure will look like how if you don't tell me why you did something and there's never an explanation of it, then for closure, I'm going to evaluate a couple of different scenarios and I'm going to come up with why you possibly did it. And it still might be a couple of variables,
so
but
when you
that's
say
one thing. But I'm
mhm,
saying, like, even my daddy,
my daddy.
I don't remember when he died.
Mm-hmm.
I was there.
Yeah.
I don't remember when he died.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Patrice. The only reason I remember her birth date is because like it's attached to a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I genuinely do not remember.
Mm-hmm.
That allows me to go and be in the world in the way I present, I think, when it comes to things that are painful.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Even things in relationships that I've had, or, you know, when I'm reminded, when I told you about, like, you know, my grandmother that was choking and
Mm-hmm.
I helped her. She was having a, no, not choking. My brother was choking. I did CPR on him, but my grandmother was having a heart attack, you know, and like those type of things, like I genuinely do not remember. And someone
Mm-hmm.
else reminds me, like, yeah, that blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you know, like
Yeah.
I don't remember those things. And it's not like I'm not remembering, you know, I remember graduating from Rosa Parks daycare and having a stretch limo.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that as clear as day.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know, I remember going to Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the
So there's
things that are
so
attached to trauma that I just you know, it's like they say with women
you
with
can tend to
childbirth.
block that out.
Like you don't remember what it felt like through and throughout having a baby.
I mean, you know, I could say no, I mean, I've had some interesting deliveries. I mean, they
But you remember the pain, like in that moment of like, holy
so
shit.
so I think, you know, with the first one and the second one, they're pretty much 6 years apart. And so no, I didn't. However, they were damn near 3 pounds. There was a damn near 3 pound difference between the first and the second one.
Mm-hmm.
So what I thought was like, holy hell, like I don't remember this part, you know? I mean, I genuinely didn't remember um what that felt like, but it was a totally different, you know, it was it was just a totally different experience. First one I was in labor for freaking 48 hours, right? The second one, 3 hours, within 3 hours, she was born.
Mm-hmm.
The third one, they're about 4 years apart. Like, I remember, I feel like, you know, I went into um, labor, like, I started having contractions right after the baby shower. And I remember going to the hospital and they sent us home. And then I remember going and you know, walking and then going back to the hospital. And they was like, oh, no, not tonight. And I'm like, listen. And we ended up back in the hospital.
You talking about legs?
No, Daniel.
No, I don't remember. Who's
See,
baby?
it's crazy.
Who's baby? So legs was at the Shelburne,
Yeah.
and Daniel was at the community center on Cummins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I remember that. I don't remember going to the thing after the.
No, we went home. And so that's what I'm saying. So we went home and I started having contractions and I waited. Like I didn't like, you know, like, oh my God. Like I didn't make a big deal about it. And I think that's a part too, where like I don't make a big deal. I have like in
Yeah,
all
it's not
the
like the
things.
movies, yo. You suck. Like you see the movies, just like, oh baby, like you're like, oh, I'm having contractions, and I'm like, what? And it's so anticlimactic, you know. It's like, and even like having a baby, you're not like, oh, I fucking hate you, I hate you, you fucking, you did this to me. You're just like,
I'm a G,
I'm
my
like, yeah,
dude.
that's
All
academies,
natural.
that's academies.
All natural. No,
The
I mean
light side,
I think that you know, I think that everybody's experience is different, you know. Again, it don't mean that it didn't hurt, right? But also like I mean, I don't know. You might not think that my pain tolerance is, you know, high. It's pretty up there.
yeah.
It's pretty up
But see,
there.
that's why it doesn't make sense. So like if I pinch you or I poke you or like I accidentally bump into you and you're like, ouch, ouch, babe. Like I feel like you're just saying that
So
as a
I
reaction
think
point.
this.
It can't possibly
I'm
hurt.
gonna tell you this. I'm gonna say this, right? I think that knowing that I'm going to push a live human being out of my body and what comes with that, like I have already prepared for that. You pinching me, part of it is not as much pain, it's more of annoyance because I don't like it.
But annoyance doesn't result in an
It
ouch.
it does. That's me saying ouch out loud so that I don't react and whack your ass.
God, all right. Speaking of whacked out mural. Love this transition. So we're gonna be real quick. Um, Kendrick at the Super Bowl. So the game was what the game was.
That
You
game was
know,
kind of wild.
yeah. Chiefs got spanked. So Kendrick. So what say you about? So what do you think about the performance itself from what you
Mhm.
saw?
Mhm.
Also, what do you think about the commentary and the stuff that people are saying, either online or people you know personally?
I mean,
Let's start with you first.
I personally enjoyed this show, the halftime show. I enjoyed the parts of the game that I saw. Um, I enjoyed it. As far as I enjoyed every aspect of the parts I'm at the halftime show. As far as what people are saying, I don't know. I don't I don't feed too much into like I have not given it enough energy. I don't have it to expand on bullshit.
Really?
Expend on bullshit. I know that
Well, you seen how I was.
yeah, I don't got time for that. I don't have time. I don't have the energy to do that. I really don't. Like I don't have time to allow someone else to raise my freaking blood pressure, to make me freaking, have a stress headache. I don't have time for it. I don't want it. I don't need it and I'm not going to allow it. And I'm just to the point where like, I don't want to get angry because I just don't like it. I don't like the person that I am when I am.
So I think
But anyway, how did you feel about it? What did
I,
you think
I
about it?
absolutely loved it. I think
Hmm.
it was on time. It was um it was a powerful statement. I think it was layered in the way in which Kendrick does. He's
Always.
a performance artist, right? So he's not like he is very meticulous with his imagery, with his stage show, with costumes, with colors,
Hmm.
which is inspiring for me. And I
Hmm.
always said I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of his music. I always thought he can rap, but like
Hmm.
the music he did wasn't always my bag because I always felt like he would do something to like, you know, for me as an artist, like I feel like he would mess up the song or change it. Like, damn, why'd he do that? And I feel like there's a lot of songs where he'll do that. So
Hmm.
even Black of the Berry, the way he's rapping and the shit he's saying is like powerful. That's the record I played the other day when he's
Hmm.
like, I'm African. You know what I'm talking about?
Hmm.
Then when the reggae artist comes on, I'm like, ugh. And it's not that I'm against reggae artists, but I feel like that artist coming on that song in that way just turned me off. I'm like, ah. So a lot of his songs, when he does something and that's his artistic merit, it just would turn me off. With that being said, I always loved what Kendrick represented because in my way, Kendrick existing allows a space in the ecosystem for me to exist.
Hmm.
Because with 30 million little babies and 30 million offsets and 20 million Doja Cats and Lottos and Sexy Reds, there's
Hmm.
no space for me in that ecosystem.
Yeah.
So selfishly, I've always appreciated what he represented. The having Sam Jackson, having all black and like it was
Like
a lot of
everything was
like
thought
dark.
out.
It was a lot of like dark. It
Brown.
wasn't
It was a
like
lot of brown skinned people.
yeah, like but dark brown.
Okay.
Not like
Just brown skinned people. It's
not like
fine.
Shamar Moore's,
Brown skinned people.
right? And so
Shamar's not brown
he's
skin.
he's like caramel, right?
Shamar Moore is definitely. on the brighter side.
Okay, well, yeah. So there
So
wasn't a
brown
lot of
skin.
Shamar Moores.
Okay.
Um, and I think, even the music selection, like the Peekaboo record, like I don't really care for, but that record is not for me. I don't say it's
Mm-hmm.
whack. It's definitely a LA inspired. That whole GNX album is a LA record he
Yeah.
made, and he could have definitely, after Not Like Us, he could have put out a smash commercial album.
But
Um,
he's not going to change who he is, right? Even with Not Like Us, right? Like he's always going to have a level of consciousness with him.
yeah,
And so it really doesn't matter. You either fuck with it or you don't. And if you don't, you don't. It's okay.
but it bothers me.
But I because everybody likes that bitty bop bop bop
But
shit
we
because
can
it's so
but we
simple.
can like
You can like what you like, and everybody's entitled to that.
I
But
just
a
don't
lot
get
of
it though.
just so I'm gonna explain it to you. You like to use your brain, right? Not everyone does.
But telling someone that, then they get offended.
That's okay. They
So
can be
we can't
offended.
even
It's
have
their
honest
entitled. They're
conversations.
entitled to feel the way that they feel.
But it bothers me.
And so sometimes you don't even got to have a conversation. Like, what is the point? You're not going to get anywhere.
Just oh
This
my
is what I'm
god.
saying. Like, I don't have time.
Yeah.
I don't have time for you to fuck with my
If
feelings,
we're having a legitimate conversation and it's based in
my
actual,
energy.
like, and art is subjective, so there's no like facts in that, right? But like if we're having a conversation that's logical, like I can be persuaded. I'm not so bullheaded when it, like,
I
you
think the
know
main thing with the
like I'll try different foods, I'll give it a go. If I don't like it, I'll try a drink. You know what I'm saying? I'll give it a go. But a
yeah,
lot of people are just
they're
not like
stuck in
that.
their ways,
And
and
it
that's just
bothers me,
what.
someone who I love, and I had the
Oh
conversation with
God,
him.
Jesus Christ,
What
help
are you
me.
talking about?
Just go ahead.
What do you mean? Oh God.
Go ahead.
Someone who I love, and I'm like, damn, yo. And he's like, yo, like they didn't even go crazy until he did Not Like Us. And I'm like, that is not true,
So
yo.
that's
That
fine.
is like not, that's
And that's
literally
so
not true.
listen, they perceive that the way that they perceive it because that's what they wanted to see,
But
right? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You saw something different because whether it was factual or not, you saw something different because that's what you saw. That's what you wanted to see.
you can't even have a conversation if like
And sometimes conversations are not necessary. That's the point. I really be trying to drive that shit home to you, and for whatever reason, dog, like you just go deeper and deeper, like, and it's just like, yo, why? It's not about you not being able to, like, not it's not about you having to stifle yourself and suppress your thoughts and your feelings, but some people, not saying the people that you had a conversation with, but some people are really just not fucking worth it.
mm,
And you have to understand, you have to get to a point that you understand that, because if you don't, you are going to be in a bad spot, my dude. And I'm not gonna be here for you to dump it on me.
I'll keep it clean.
Okay? Because I'm telling you right now, I might not be getting on no plane no time soon, baby, but you is not gonna unleash that crap on me. I mean, and you can speak freely, I'll tell you that, but don't expect a reaction out of me because you won't get it.
Mm,
'Cause I'm not gonna allow you to now raise my blood pressure because somebody else raised your shit
that's fair.
only because you allowed it.
That's
No,
fair.
thank you.
Well, um,
No, thank you.
all right. So I think considering we can wrap up here, but before we end, I wanted to um just give a super super king shout out to Rashaun Williams, um, who is venture capitalist. Believe he's part owner of the Atlanta Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, He's been on Shark Tank a bunch of times. I don't know if he got a permanent seat yet. I think that was being talked about. But he did an act that was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
And for
I just
those,
want to know. Okay, go ahead. Tell it what it is.
No, I'm gonna end with his clip. What are you saying?
Oh, okay. So, well, I mean, you can. Okay, so then I want to know how. I wish I was there. I want to know how this is going to be accessible. How and to whom this is going to be accessible.
The money?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I always feel that way when it comes to like people if
But
they
this is
donate.
different.
Um,
It's different in the sense of, and I'm more invested because of where it is, right? I cannot wait to make these announcements, and I hope he. Anyway,
can't wait to make announcements.
I can't wait to share, through all this sadness and dampen, yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So anyway, so I wanted to highlight that, and we're gonna end the show.
I think that's beautiful
with the clip of what he did in his own words from his own mouth.
Morehouse was my first investor. You're looking at the return on the investment that you get when you invest in Morehouse right now. When my father wasn't there for me as a kid, Morehouse picked up the slack. I learned how to tie a tie at Morehouse, eat at a dinner table, out, in, pause between my first and last name. My city failed me, but where Chicago failed me, Morehouse picked me up. Morehouse taught me I was a king. Sometimes this country fails me, but there is Morehouse. For 4 years, Morehouse poured into me. And in return, I would like to donate my entire salary for the next 4 years back to Morehouse. Thank you.
Shout out to him.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, I think we look at our celebrities or, whoever we consider leaders to do grand things. And sometimes it's the people who we don't look at, and sometimes it's us ourselves. I think with the constant attack on us and DEI, which is the new nigger word,
oh my God.
I think diversity, equity, and inclusion is who we are because we are diverse.
Mm-hmm.
We are equitable, and in general, we are an inclusive people. And so I don't think it's in our nature to be exclusionary. And so when you have someone who made certain choices in life and is still willing to like reach back
in a
like
real
what
way.
And there's gonna be a ton of people. It's like, he's only doing that because he's, and it's like,
guess what?
Man,
it doesn't matter because they can say what they want.
But that's the whataboutisms that makes me be like, man, shut the fuck up
again
forever.
Again, see, I don't focus on that part.
Yeah, but I will. I want to tell him that,
and I know.
And I want to tell him that directly.
And then what? So for me, I'm gonna more so focus on.
No, I can do both.
No, you can't, and this is what I'm saying. Like you cannot expand, you cannot give the same energy to both things.
Nah, not the same.
You can't.
I'm gonna give 80 to him and his acts.
But
I'm gonna give 20.
Even that 20 is too much, man.
Not
even
enough.
20 is too much. Like
not enough.
Because why not put 100% into bigging up the act?
King shit. Fair enough, man. All right, you got that. I'm not gonna argue you down on this. I'll save it for something else.
Man, keep on.
All right, so we're gonna end on this note. We'll see y'all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Wedlocked and loaded. Yeah.
We're locked and loaded.
The revolution about to be televised. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy.
Wedlocked and loaded.
Wedlocked and loaded.